Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup. U.S. congressmen are now saying the quiet part out loud. They are down with genocide of the Palestinians in Gaza. This unbelievable statement by a Republican congressman was captured yesterday. First term, I believe, Tennessee Congressman Republican Andy Ogles. Let's take a listen to what he said when challenged by Palestinian activists within the Capitol.
Let's be clear, Hamas raped and murdered babies.
That's fake news.
No evidence of that.
I've seen the footage and you haven't.
I've seen the footage of
You've seen footage of
shredded children's bodies. And that's my taxpayer dollars.
I-
They're going to,
you know what?
going to bomb those kids.
So I think we should kill them all, if that makes you feel better. Everybody, Hamas. Hamas and the Palestinians have been attacking Israel for 20 years, and it's time to pay the price.
Israel's been attacking Palestine.
Israel is an occupier. Palestine was there before Israel.
Your naivety doesn't make it true.
My what? There's a genocide happening right now. Do you think I care about?
They're starving women and children. How is that going after
killed over
Hamas?
300 healthcare workers. Shame on you. You have no heart.
I think we should kill them all. That make you feel better? Add it in. He was referring to Hamas, of course. Had to, check that box. And then he said, Hamas and the Palestinians have been attacking Israel for 20 years. To be clear, I don't condone what Hamas did on October 7th. From what I can tell, at the over 30, let me be clear, over 30 ceasefire now protests we have covered, John Farina has covered for Status Coup in New York and DC. The majority of the protesters I see are demanding a ceasefire with the Israeli hostages released. I don't think anybody's cheering that I could see, for the most part, about innocent Israelis, murdered or captured and kept in, being hostages in perpetuity. But there is nuance to the situation. And what this congressman just openly said, and I don't want to hear, well, he was talking about Hamas. Give me a break. It is theater. It is totally illogical. It is total nonsense. Oh, well, until we eradicate Hamas. How are you going to do that? How are you going to eradicate an idea? Do you know for every Hamas soldier you kill, you are literally regenerating probably 5 to 10 times more new soldiers, maybe under a different name, who hate Israel because you are killing entire families. You are killing entire generations. The new numbers are 29,000 Palestinians have been killed. 29,000. 2/3 are women and children. So about 19,000 women and children have been killed. Two things could be true, which I have had to say to my own family, who I love, but we don't agree on this. You could be against terrorism against Israel, which I am. I don't condone what Hamas did. I understand the resistance against occupation. I understand the desire for revenge. I understand wanting to take more aggressive action when decades and decades of nonviolent, peaceful action have not changed anything. But I don't believe the killing of Palestinian innocents should be, the response should be killing Israeli innocents. I don't believe in general that the killing of one set of innocents should be, the response should be killing other innocents. That is just a cycle of slaughter, and it will continue on and on and on. But the fact that we have United States congressmen, and to be clear, it's not just him. He's the one who said it out loud. But the majority of Republicans, frankly, the majority of Democrats, truly believe if you got them behind closed doors, kill them all. I mean Hamas. They don't mean Hamas. They truly have blinders on because they believe in their democracy in the Middle East, Israel, and the ends justify the means in defending oneself. But how is Israel defending itself? By dropping 2,000-pound bombs that are not being dropped with any sense of precise precision, which is not possible when you're dropping 2,000 bombs. How are Israel taking great pains to avoid civilian casualties when you're bombing refugee camps and hospitals? I'm not against the Jewish people. I don't believe majority of my audience are. I don't believe the majority of the people protesting are. I believe that is a reactionary, reflexive, defensive posture that Zionist and pro-Israel people take. Oh, well, you're just all anti-Semitic. No, this is not about being against Judaism or being against the Jewish people. There are a lot of Jewish people out protesting. This is being against evil. This is being against wrong. This is about being against genocide. And as a Jew who was raised learning about the Holocaust, I'm against genocide against anyone, any set of people, whether it's Jewish people, whether it's Palestinian people, it doesn't matter. And as my mother once taught me, two wrongs do not make a right. So what Hamas did was heinous and barbaric. It does not justify what Israel has done since. And there is no way without literally ground troops or, surgical, SEAL team-esque operations that would take years. There's no way to go and eradicate every Hamas member without killing hundreds of thousands, possibly more, Palestinians. And if the Israeli government and its supporters have decided that's okay, then we part ways. But it's not just this genocidal maniac, this congressman, and the heinous things he said. It's other heinous things that are being said. I mean, take a look. This is from an Israeli member of the Knesset just yesterday. Obviously, a loony right-winger. Again, this does not represent all Jewish people, but this is the sentiment among the Netanyahu coalition that we are funding. I'll just read it to you because it's said in Hebrew. But Likud member of the Knesset, MK Hanoch Milwidsky, was yelling at another member of the Knesset who is Palestinian, "You're going to die. Your children are going to die. Your grandchildren are going to die. There isn't going to be a Palestinian state. It won't happen." Can you imagine for a second? Can you imagine for a second what the reaction in American media or in Congress would be if that same sentiment was captured, if those same words were captured in the Russian political system, at the Kremlin, a Russian politician saying that to another Russian politician who is Ukrainian. You're going to die. Your children are going to die. Your grandchildren are going to die. Do you think MSNBC would have a meltdown? You think Rachel Maddow would have a meltdown? Think CNN would have a meltdown? New York Times, Washington Post? If it was a Russian nationalist saying that to a Ukrainian politician? But when an Israeli Knesset member says it to a Palestinian Knesset member that we're going to wipe out your entire people, there ain't going to be no Palestinian state. Crickets. Crickets. And to my Israeli friends, to my pro-Israel family, who I love, we depart and disagree on this. I have to keep my integrity. I have to keep my moral compass. I cannot be silent when I believe you are on the wrong side of history. And to be clear, not that what I'm going through pales in comparison to what Palestinians are. I have friends of mine who don't like my coverage and aren't speaking to me right now. You could be against what Hamas did. You could feel a certain way about it. You could, as a human, if you are Jewish, initially want vengeance. But then you have to cool down and look at what the response has been. You can't be okay with this. You can't think this is justified. And if you do, I worry. I worry for you. I want to show you also, we're told that this is about eradicating Hamas. We're told this is to, finish the war? Well, I don't know what bulldozing communities in the West Bank. The West Bank was not part of October 7th. I don't know what Israeli troops bulldozing roads in the West Bank has anything to do with, quote unquote, destroying Hamas. The Israeli army invaded again Jenin city and Jenin refugee camps. They shot with live ammunition 2 children, 9 and 15 years old, and a 71-year-old man. Their bulldozers are destroying the roads and infrastructures in the area. And they've been doing this, by the way, for weeks, destroying roads and infrastructure in the West Bank, in Gaza. It's heinous, absolutely heinous. I want to show you a moment captured during our protest coverage. Again, we have covered over 30 ceasefire now protests in New York City and DC. This was actually a rally for to free Julian Assange, but a lot of the supporters for Assange are also supporters for a ceasefire now. And a British man, who I would describe as a Zionist, passed by and had some truly, truly deplorable things to say.
And that's what you support?
Really?
You support genocide?
No, I support half of my family who lives in Israel. There is no state of Palestine because it's never been recognized because it used to be part of Egypt or Jordan who've washed their hands of them. They don't even want them. They're building up a big fucking wall. No, you know who wants them to die? The Egyptians do. And the Jordanians and the Qataris.
I was watching a World War II movie the other
They don't
day.
want them.
I was watching a World War II movie, and it was interesting because Palestine came into the picture, and they were talking about Palestine. They were talking about Palestine as our ally.
75 years ago, Christians, Jews, and Muslims and Arabs lived peacefully until the Zionists came. Read your history and talk to Norman Finkelstein.
So, and when the Zionists came, what did the Arabs do?
Genocide.
Because we, the British, we had to hang them in the fucking
British.
street
Yeah, you're
because
real,
they kept killing our soldiers.
Really not
Yes, I'm loyal to the
propagandizing.
United States of America.
Good luck.
Not one U.S. flag here. You're all traitors to America. All of you are traitors to America. Not one of you has the Stars and Stripes flag. Where is the Star-Spangled Banner here? None of you have it. You don't love this country that lets you protest in the middle of the street.
First Amendment. This is called the First Amendment, the freedom of speech.
You exercise your First Amendment right. Hold the Stars and Stripes above your head and be
We
proud.
find these truths self-evident. All men are created equal.
So hold the flag. You love your flag. Hold the
First
flag.
Amendment.
Where's the
The
flag?
United States of America
Where
is inalienable rights. The Declaration
I know.
of Independence.
I swore an oath of allegiance to America when I came here.
Where is your star-spangled banner? This man on one end says, I'm loyal to the United States of America, but on the other end is against what supposedly is supposed to make America, America, the First Amendment, and calling them traitors for exercising their First Amendment. To be clear, this man is not a representation of Judaism or all Jewish people. You know, I don't want to, one rotten apple does not make an orchard. So I don't want you to get the wrong idea, but I think it's important to show this because there are a lot of people in America and other countries and in our government making the decisions to fund this with this sick mentality. Notice his buzzwords. Nobody wants them, as if they're less than human. The Egyptians don't want them. We had to kill them. It's outrageous. It is absolutely outrageous. That type of mentality. And thinking that somehow the people out there protesting are un-American because they are speaking up and speaking out against slaughtering innocent people and us funding it. I can't think of anything that's more American than speaking out against what Israel is doing. And I am proud that we are the ones covering these protests. I'm proud that we are the ones showing this because you're not going to see that on CNN and you're not going to see that on MSNBC. You just won't. We will continue covering these protests. We will continue covering it as much as you fund us. Please support us. StatusCoup.com/join. It is expensive to fund on the ground reporting. So the more you help us do it, the more of these ceasefire now protests we could cover.